Hey y'all. I was going to say like happy Monday or something, but honestly, I don't even know what day it is. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I'm Dr. RJ, licensed clinical psychologist, and I am just popping on to give you a little bit of help today about saying no and setting boundaries. It's one of my favorite topics. So just sit back, relax, write down a few notes. You don't need to take copious notes, but just one or two tips that you will stick with and use right away. Before we get started, I will tell you a little bit about myself. Again, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and goodness, I've been in the mental health field for about 20 years now. I was doing the math earlier, and I'm like, really, 20 years? But yeah, 20 years. The time really does fly. So I'll stop rambling. But anyhow, let me tell you some of what I've done over the past 20 years. I think it's important to really let viewers and listeners know who they're listening to, who they're hearing from. Um, and just to make sure that is an actual authority and not some random internet AI talk or whatever. So again, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I originally started out with trauma, and so I'm trained in trauma before trauma informed treatment was popular. That's what we were doing: neuroscience training, psychopharmacology training, all of the things. Even with that, after opening my private practice, which is still doing well in the community, even with that, my favorite thing to do is to just have regular conversations about wellness. Yes, I could really go into the academic side of it, talk about the brain, all those things, and while I still do that, I think it's really important to just have basic, easy, usable, simple takeaways that can improve your quality of life. All right. So let me just make sure I am everywhere I'm supposed to be. Okay, okay. Illness. Yes, I could. All right. Yes, I am where I'm supposed to be. Okay. So let's get this thing started. Again, I'm Dr. R.J. Verwain, licensed clinical psychologist, and we're here today to talk about setting boundaries, why you say yes when you really mean no. So why is this important? Why is it important for us to pause our day and talk about this topic? Well, when you have issues setting boundaries, it will trickle down into all parts of your life. Whether you're having trouble setting boundaries with yourself, you don't keep your word to yourself, that could then impact your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your relationships, all of the things. If you have problems setting boundaries with others, that will also negatively impact your relationships. You'll start to feel some resentment and maybe some loneliness. So this really is an important topic, especially if you have issues saying no and setting boundaries at work, in the workplace, whether you're an entrepreneur, CEO, director, educator, setting boundaries is everything. All right, so let's jump right into this. Why are you having problems setting boundaries? A lot of us were, let me just say this really quick. I know I'm like all over the place because I'm on one screen today and not two. Don't even ask me why. It's a whole thing. All right, let's just do this. Let's do this first. So I'll give you the reasons we say no, and then we'll talk about what you can do about it. Let's just keep it short, simple, and sweet. So, number one, the first reason that we often refuse to say no or avoid saying no is that we were taught saying no is rude or selfish. Reason number one, we don't say no. You were taught that saying no is rude or selfish. So if you were raised to be a helper, then saying no can feel like a betrayal, even when you're drowning, even when you don't have the resources to give. It can feel like you're betraying someone else. We know that's false. Reason number two that we don't say no: you fear conflict or disappointing others. Conflict and disappointing others and rejection are issues that many adults struggle with. I think it's really important for us to teach children how to deal with disappointment, how to anticipate and cope with rejection, and know that it's all a normal part of life. Because once we reach adulthood, if we don't approach those issues early on, then they follow us into adulthood. So we are walking out of a place of fear. Everything is a fear. Are they going to like me? Am I going to be lonely? Will they reject me? Will they stop inviting me? Okay. Peace at the expense of your own boundaries is not peace. That's performance. I'll say that again. Peace at the expense of your own boundaries isn't peace, it's performance. Let's keep that in mind. Reason number three why we tend to say yes when we really mean no: you confuse your worth with your usefulness. I talk about this often with in the corporate environment. We show up as doers instead of innovators, and that can really be problematic. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with getting tasks done, but you don't want to brand yourself as only a doer. Your worth is not equal to how much you can do for someone. So keep that in mind. Don't confuse your worth with your usefulness. Okay? You are not a utility. You're not only as good as your last favor. Sometimes that's some inner work that needs to be done because we've based our relationships on approval of others. We've based our relationships on how others respond when we do say yes to them. Okay. So, five reasons. We're headed to number four. Five reasons why we say yes instead of saying no when we really should be saying no. Recap: number one, you were taught that saying no is rude or selfish. If you're raised to be a helper, saying no can feel like betrayal, even when you're drowning. Reason number two, you fear conflict or disappointing others. Peace at the expense of your own boundaries isn't peace, it's performance. Reason number three, you confuse your worth with your usefulness. You're not a utility. You're not only as good as your last favor. Reason number four, you're trying to avoid guilt or judgment, right? Guilt or judgment. So if you say no, then what? If I say no to this person, if I don't set this boundary, what does that mean? Am I going to feel guilty? Often we make things about us and it backfires instead of just communicating and really asking the question, how can we work together so that we're both getting what we need? So, reason number four, you're trying to avoid guilt or judgment. Now, I will say this: it's not fairy tale land. Sometimes there will be judgment, but let them talk. Their comfort with your self sacrifice is not your responsibility, right? It's just something you have to let happen. Finally, number five, reasons why we say yes when we really mean no. You haven't practiced saying no, so it still feels scary. You haven't practiced it. You haven't said no enough. You're not bad at boundaries. You're just out of practice. And that's my favorite one. So let's do a recap. Five reasons why we say yes when we really mean no. Number one, you were taught that saying no is rude or selfish. If you were raised to be a helper, saying no can feel like betrayal, even when you're drowning. Number two, you fear conflict or disappointing others. Peace at the expense of your own boundaries isn't peace, it's performance. Number three, you confuse your worth with your usefulness. You're not a utility. You're not only as good as your last favor. Number four, you're trying to avoid guilt or judgment. Let them talk. Their comfort with your self sacrifice is not your responsibility. And number five, You haven't practiced saying no, so it still feels scary. You're not bad at boundaries, you're just out of practice. So now that we've talked about the why, obviously I'm going to give you some strategies. I think that it's super useful, super important to give you simple, easy, useful strategies that you can start using right now as soon as we're done and start practicing today. So, strategy number one, I'll give you five. If you are a note taker, this is a good time to jot down a few notes. Put some notes in your phone or use your sticky pad or notepad. I'm old school. I still use a little notebook where I jot things down, but only jot down the ones that you plan to use. You don't want just random notes hanging around clouding up your brain space. So, five strategies to stop saying yes when you mean no. All right. Strategy number one, pause before you respond. Silence is a boundary too. You don't have to answer right away. So let's unpack this a little bit. Pause before you respond. If someone asks you to do something and you say yes right away, but then you go back and you're like, oh, I double booked myself. You look back at your calendar, you remember that there's something else going on. Saying yes so quickly can be even more damaging to the relationship or the situation than pausing and saying, let me double check, right? Just say that. Let me double check. Give me a few hours, give me a day, give me a couple of days, whatever boundary or time that you set. Please make sure that you honor that and get back to the person. But you can put some space between your decision, between the ask and your decision. In psychology world, we call it putting space between the stimulus and your response. Right? Space is where your safety is. So number one, the first strategy on how to stop saying yes when you mean no, pause before you respond. Again, your pause can be a few minutes, it can be a day, it can be 2 days, whatever it is, make sure that you follow back up and honor the time that you asked to pause. Number two, out of five strategies to stop saying yes when you really mean no, create some scripts for your no, right? You don't owe an explanation to earn your peace. But if you're out of practice saying no, create scripts, get some phrases that you're used to. One of my favorite phrases, and you are welcome to borrow it, is I don't have the bandwidth to do this at this time. I want to make sure that when I'm able to do it, I can show up as the best version of myself. I want my yes to be everything. I don't want it to be like a lukewarm yes. So start thinking really about when you say no, how the no is useful and it's helpful. And you can start creating your own scripts for saying no. It's not fake to have a script, it's just you have an answer already, and your friends, families, coworkers, bosses, employees, um, team members, whatever, they'll get used to it. They will learn your language, and more than likely, they will start to adopt the same language. Another script I like to use is let me check my calendar. And a script doesn't mean that I'm making something up. Like, literally, I need to check my calendar before I say yes to anything. One reason is because I put everything on my calendar. My calendar helps me make decisions on how I'm able to show up. Another reason is that it gives me time to see not if I only have the scheduled time, but do I have the bandwidth? Is this something that's going to be in between two draining tasks or two tasks that take a lot of energy? Again, because when I show up, I want to show up as the best version of myself. So we're talking about five strategies on how to stop saying yes when you really mean no. First strategy, pause before you respond. Silence is a boundary too. You don't have to answer right away. I'll go back to this one because I put my phone on do not disturb or a focus feature or that sort of thing because it allows me to set a boundary with myself. It keeps me from getting distracted. It keeps me focused on the task that's right in front of me. Notifications are so distracting to me, like all the pings and the noises and the buzzes, and it's just the most. And so I silence everything so that I can focus just on what's in front of me. So, strategy number one, pause before you respond. Strategy number two, create scripts for your no. You don't owe an explanation to earn your peace. Your no is your no. Okay. Strategy number three, start small. You don't have to set a fire to your calendar and start canceling things. Just stop giving away your weekends. Stop giving away your free time like it's free samples or something, right? It's like, here you go. You take one, you take one. I have an hour. You take this, you take that. Don't do that. I think it's really important. I've seen this whole theme going around social media. I'm going to protect my peace. But protecting your peace doesn't mean canceling commitments or canceling appointments or not showing up for people. That's just being rude. And so the way that you protect your peace is to be impeccable with your word to yourself and others and to keep your word. The way that you do that is to set boundaries at the very beginning. Canceling commitments because you overcommitted is rude and unprofessional, and I don't recommend it. Which is why it's really, really important to be careful with your yes in the first place. If you say yes to something, you should do it. However, you should also take your time in committing and saying yes. We're talking about five strategies to stop saying yes when you really mean no. Strategy number one, pause before you respond. Strategy number two, create scripts for your no. Strategy number three, start small. One no here, one no there. Strategy number four, address the fear behind your yes. When you name the fear, it loses its grip. And I can talk about this from a lot of different perspectives. When I'm working with really high functioning clients, executives, leaders, all the things, I'll ask, what happened the last time you said no? Why are you fearful to say no? Right? I have a client, the last time that she said no, something tragic happened. And the way that we deal with that is empathy, compassion, and forward movement. So it's, I am so sorry that happened to you. I can't imagine what it was like for you to finally decide you're going to say no. And then this tragic thing happens. However, this is not that. How can you forgive yourself and give yourself more compassion to pause and say, this is not that? Yes, we'll deal with the tragedy. Yes, we'll deal with the feelings that come with that. Yes, we'll deal with the triggers, but this is not that. These are two totally separate issues. So that's something you may need to say to yourself. This thing is not that thing. Often we confabulate or muddy the waters as it relates to why we're deciding to set boundaries or change a behavior. Reason number five, reason number five, I'm sorry, strategy number five to help you stop just giving your yeses away is to choose alignment over approval. Choose alignment over approval. What is it that you're really supposed to be doing? What is your purpose in this particular situation? How can you show up as the best version or your favorite version of yourself, not just for you, but also for those who you serve in whatever capacity? Okay. Approval is just rented. It's short term, it's here, there. So if you're looking for approval, you're going to run yourself ragged looking for approval. It's temporary. Alignment is owned. You want to get aligned, own it, and stick to it. So before we end, let's do a quick review. We've talked about five reasons we say yes when we really mean no, but I want to talk about the strategies. So let's review the strategies. Five strategies to stop saying yes when you really mean no. Strategy number one, pause before you respond. Okay. Strategy number one, pause before you respond. Strategy number two, create scripts for your no. Okay. Create scripts for your no. Strategy number three, Start small. Practice saying no here, there when the stakes aren't so high. Strategy number four, address the fear behind the yes. Maybe therapy is needed. Maybe counseling is needed. Maybe there's something deep down on the inside spiritually you haven't addressed, right? Address the fear behind the yes. Strategy number five, choose alignment over approval. Okay. Every time you honor your no, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your life. You're not here to be everyone's emergency plan. You're not here to be everyone's safety net. You're here to be whole and to walk in your purpose. Now, I want to make sure that you understand I'm not saying be selfish and this is all about you. Opposite of that, what I'm saying is, how can you fill yourself up so much so that what you give to others, that what you present is going to be life changing for them, whatever industry you're in, whatever space in life you're in, whether it's for family or friends or work or colleagues. You want to show up as your favorite version of yourself. The way that you do that is to show up as whole. You don't want to show up as empty, raggedy. You've given all your yeses away and then you have nothing left for yourself and then you're resentful, disorganized, all over the place and then mad at other people for asking you to do all the things. You can just say no. So I'd like to leave you with this affirmation. Okay? If I were right in front of you, we take a deep breath, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out slowly for 4. Inhale for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and then you would say this affirmation: I give myself permission to say no without guilt, to disappoint without apology, and to protect my peace without explanation. You can do it. It's imperative that you do it. All right. I'll see you all again soon. If you are a leader and your team is experiencing burnout, or they're all over the place, or they're all the changes that have been happening, you're noticing people being late or not showing up or getting sick or having to be written out of work, you really want to get a handle on that. So just text strategy 3 to 833-451-4258 and let's have a conversation about it. Just a simple conversation on what are the options for you to get yourself back on track, your team back on track. If you're an entrepreneur, same thing. All right. I'll see you all again soon. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure that you are following me on all socials. I have the most fun on Instagram at Ask Dr. RJ, AskDRRJ. I'm also on Facebook at Ask Dr. RJ, and obviously YouTube at Ask Dr. RJ. Doctor is DOCTOR for YouTube, and obviously on LinkedIn under Rashana Johnson Verwain. Might be under RJ. I don't know. You can find me. It's not a whole lot of Verwains out there. Okay, I'm rambling now and I need a snack. Talk to y'all later.